Hello everybody, welcome to Chess24 and welcome to my roundup of the top 12, the French clubs competition which took place over the past 10 or so days, finished yesterday. A great competition full of absolutely fantastic teams, fantastic players. What I thought I'd do is perhaps go over some of the games that caught my eye and some of the performances also that caught my eye. Now, when it comes to the actual team championships, there was a runaway winner in the form of Bischwiller. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, Bischwiller or perhaps another way. But congratulations to them. They won the tournament with a resounding success. Actually, they won all of their matches. 22 match points, fantastic for them. And they were followed by Clichy, who lost to Bischwiller in the crucial game in, I believe, it was round 8. And as a result, Bischwiller ran away with it. What I thought I'd do is have a look at some of the games as well for you guys, if you are interested. Please bear in mind that you can look at the news reports that we have, which are more detailed and they go through the events as they happened. Please check those out via the Chess24 news page. But for now, let's have a look at the games. So, there were a few really interesting games and a few interesting performances, and I thought I'd also go over them. First things first, let's say a big congratulations to the likes of, and I'll go through them, the board medal winners, because they did offer some or prizes, I should say, rather than medal winners. That's more for the Olympiad. Anish Giri had an absolutely fantastic tournament, scored 8 out of 10 on board 1 with a performance of 28-28, means that he rises a few points, and that's a huge score on board 1. Well done to Anish. Board 2, it was the Jan Krzysztof Duda show. Jan Krzysztof Duda, the young Polish player, scored a fantastic 7.5 out of 10 with a 27.82 performance. He deservedly wins that prize. Board 3, another Pole, Alexander Mister, cleaned up 6.5 out of 8 with a 2800 performance. Brilliant performance by him. Marcus Raga on board 4, 7 out of 8. Manuel Apicella, 7.5 out of 11 on board 5. Tregubov, the old school, I should say, Russian Grandmaster. He's a bit old school. He's certainly not part of the new school anymore. He had a great tournament, still a class player with 7.5 out of 9. Luc Berger on board 7. The French IM scored 7.5 out of 11. And Almira Skripchenko scored 9 out of 10 on board 8. Great performance for her, 90%. Well done to all of them. So those were really the winners, the individual performance winners. Let's have a look at some of the games and perhaps some other success stories, because even though this man didn't win a board prize, it was a tournament that was very important for none other than Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, the French number 1, who of late has had a really bad run. We all go through ups and downs in chess, I know, just like anybody. But Maxime has shed a whole load of points. He was in the top 10, over 2770. He dropped right away down to the 40 points odd. But thankfully for him and thankfully for his fans as well, he had a bit of a comeback in this tournament. He hadn't actually won a game for so long, and he scored his first win in round 1 against Christian Bauer, another hugely talented guy who I've had the pleasure of meeting. I've actually had the pleasure of playing. Got a good old spanking from him a few years ago. This is the position after move 27, and it's Maxime to play. And Maxime here finds the very cute move pawn to b3, which is an interesting concept. The point is, after c takes b3, which is what happened, if white were to retreat, let's say the move bishop to b1, which looks normal, the problem is that now the move f5 is very strong. That's a kind of bolt from the blue. And the idea is that e takes f6 runs into knight takes f6, and white's position falls apart. The rook is coming to d1. Not only that, this rook is pinned. This is on pre. Knight h5 is coming. It's all just over. So you can't take on f6. You'd have to move the rook, say rook e1. But now a beautiful little distraction tactic with f4. With the rook unable to move, the queen cannot cover e5. And after just say, let's say queen f3, knight takes e5 is all but over. Extra pawn, more active pieces should be winning. So as a result, Bauer took on b3, and after queen c1, check, king h2, queen a1 was the cute little idea. A very unique way of winning a piece here, but things aren't quite clear. In fact, Maxim's tournament could have changed drastically had Christian, who, by the way, is a fantastically creative and tactical player, found the following little combination. Instead of the move rook takes a4, which is a big mistake, he could have played the move rook h4. Just stating his intentions very clearly, I'm going to checkmate you. And for example, if queen takes a2, then white can play queen f4, threatening queen h6 with mate. Really, h5 is the only move, because also this pawn on f7 is slightly vulnerable. But now white can play the very thematic rook takes h5, taking advantage of the fact that he's got minimum perpetual check. But after pawn takes rook, check, king h8, check, king g7, check, king h8. It's important to note that king h7 is actually a huge mistake here because of rook f4. The difference is, and mate of course the next move, the difference with putting it on h8 is that after, let's say, rook f4 here, black can play the cute little move queen b1 and give up his queen for the defense. And after rook h4, let's say check, rook here, and b takes a4. It's very difficult to assess this position. The computer likes it slightly for white, but black does have two rooks and a knight, and the pawns aren't totally mobilized yet. I would probably take white because I always have a draw in hand, but on a really bad day, things could go terribly wrong. So that's one way to do it. Alternatively, of course, white could just bail out with the draw if he wanted. So that was a chance missed by Bauer. Instead, he went for rook takes a4. The problem is now after queen takes a2, rook a7, vachier-lagrave found a very important move here. He found the move queen to b1. That's an excellent move, where his idea is he just wants to bring the queen to d1 to help with the defense, and black consolidated and duly won. So big win for Maxime for his confidence, and that ensured that actually the rest of his tournament went pretty well. Talking of Jan-Christophe Duda, he won the board prize, and he had some really interesting games. We've got a position here against Sebastian Feller. Now, this is another chap we should, of course, talk about. This is Sebastian Feller, the French Grandmaster, the youngster who, it pains me to say, was proven as a cheat some years ago and was banned from chess. Well, this was actually his first tournament back. And it's a real shame because those who know Sebastian and those who knew of him before the cheating scandal, well, we all knew that he had immense talent, and it came as a huge shock that he even thought about being involved in some kind of foul play, because he's got the talent to get there in the first place. This tournament did not go so well for him. He found it difficult to readjust and threw away some winning positions, one of which is the following. This is actually the position against Jan-Christoph Duda on move 48. And as you can see, White is in a whole mess. His king, I've never seen a king more exposed than this one. The king's got zero protection, and these bishops and the rook and the knight, everything's working well together for black. And black has been winning actually for a while now, but even here he should be doing well. Duda started to come back though, and he played a very good move, knight to g5. And here, really, the only move to keep a serious advantage for black would be the move bishop to g8, just covering h7. White has still got a bit of a task to hold this one. But instead, Feller played the move d3, which, again, still maintains some advantage, but it's far from clear. After a very precise move, the move queen to f2, by Duda. Now the knight is pinned. Knight takes g2, queen takes f8 would be a disaster. So here, again, bishop g8 was a very sensible move, but bishop c8 was a sign that Feller was perhaps slightly losing his way. And here, rook e7, and amazingly, the best move for black is to come back with the bishop, after which the computer gives just a repetition like so as the best possible weights, because the knight would love to be able to take in some lines, but the rook is always on pre. So believe it or not, this is a mutual Zugzwang position. Neither side can actually improve. Incredible position really, where the computer gives us a draw. But after rook e7, well, Feller played the move d2. This is a very logical move, because you threatened to queen the pawn, but he overlooked a fantastic resource by Duda, very, very well disguised resource. And the move is rook takes e5. And I'm sure that came as a bit of a shock for Feller. If he queens the pawn, White was just going to take, queen takes, and play rook to e1. After which the smoke has really cleared, and White is threatening all kinds of things on the long diagonal, not to mention this slightly loose knight on f4. So he couldn't do that, so he took on e5, but the killer blow was, it's a beautiful move. It's the move queen to a7. Just, it's so pleasurable playing moves like this. And now there's actually no way of stopping White sweeping across to h7 and winning. There's no checks, there's no queen e1 check, because the knight does a good job of protecting e1, and it's just game over. In fact, after bishop b7, queen takes b7, Feller resigned. So that win for Duda was an absolutely crucial win, definitely gave him the kind of confidence he needed to score as he did. And for Feller, well, tough tournament for him. Suffered a few more losses, but I think we'll see a lot more of him, and we're really all hoping that the past can be forgotten in some way, and he can show his real talent. Another story from this tournament was the story of Mr. Arkady Neidich, the German number one, or at least the German number one for the moment. A lot of reports have been going around about him changing federation and playing for Azerbaijan. Well, that's one report. Another report is that he's going to want to forget this tournament as quickly as possible. He had an absolutely abysmal tournament. Won, I believe, the first round against Vetushkin, but thereafter lost about 4 games, including against players 200 points, 150 points lower than him, and ended up shedding in the region of 32 rating points, which is a huge blow for Arkady. It means that he drops below 2,700. And I thought, well, I'll pick one game that he lost, because it was actually a great win for a great stalwart of French chess, and a legend of the game, Andrei Sokolov, who he's rated 25-20 or so nowadays, but can still play the game. And with white against Arkady, this is the position after move 33. The move chosen by Arkady was rook c3. He's desperate to make something work along here, but Sokolov had it all worked out. He played the move e takes f7, which is an excellent intermediary. And the problem is that now, of course, rook takes g3 just runs into checkmate. So you have to go rook f8, but the move queen e5 is very strong. And there's no way of ousting the queen. For example, a move like knight c6 looks good, but actually white can just come back to f4 without any problems. And a move like knight b5, well, here, again, any move, rook e6, just protecting the queen, followed by eventually a rook e8. And the problem black has got is that white's always got this f-pawn to go to f6, so the king is well and truly trapped in the corner. In fact, after queen e5, Najditch took on b3, and f6 was played anyway. Clearly, pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn is mate. So g6 is the only move. But now queen e7. And, well, actually, queen e7 was perhaps not the best move in the position by Sokolov. Well, I mean, there are loads of winning lines, but queen e7 should actually do the job here. And no, the computer's going crazy for a whole load of winning lines, but then it realizes queen e7 is good enough, threatening the queen. And after queen b8, the simple move rook to e1. And the point is that this bishop doesn't actually matter now because the king's trapped. What you want to do is you want to organize a tactic along the back rank. Queen takes rook followed by rook e8 or rook d8. Actually, as we'll see, after rook a3, queen takes f8 was a really cute finish. And after queen takes f8, the important move here, you've got two ideas. Two moves look good here. The move rook d8 or rook e8. Actually, instinctively, the move rook e8 looks like the right move because it's protected by the pawn. But the problem is that now, after rook a8, actually, there's no way of progressing. And white could end up in trouble if he's not careful here. So the correct move was to play rook to d8. And the difference is that now after rook a8, you can take on a8. And the reason why this wasn't possible with rook e8, rook a8 takes on a8, is because after queen takes a8, there's now no check down the back. Whereas if we compare this position with this one, we now have this rook e8 check resource, which wins. So poor Arkady had a bad tournament, and he'll want to forget that one as soon as possible. There are a few more games that I would like to just show you guys, really, that caught my eye. The game Fear versus Feller as well was very interesting. This was the position after move 16. And curious position where white is clearly in the driving seat. He's calling the shots and is trying to decapitate black. The immediate threat is knight takes a7, so black played the move king b8. But here, knight takes a7 was a beautiful shot, with the point being that king takes a7, queen a5 check, and queen takes b6 is a clear pawn and should be a technically winning position. So knight takes a7. Feller tried knight d7, but Fear saw it all. He played the beautiful looking move, knight a takes c6. Very, very pretty move. The point is that after b takes c6 here, his idea was not to give checks, but to play the move queen takes e7. Very, very cute idea. And after queen takes queen, what else? Knight takes c6 check. And the story doesn't end there, because after king c7, knight takes e7, g6, it looks as though this knight is trapped. But actually, white has got the move knight f5 anyway, because the bishop has got no squares. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. White emerges, a whole host of pawns up, and it's not even worth fighting this position against a strong grandmaster like Fear. So instead, after knight takes c6, Feller played knight takes c6, but Fear had worked it out. Queen d6 check, king a8, knight takes c6, pawn takes c6, queen takes c6 check, king b8. Of course, he's got perpetual at the minimum, but gives another check, and after king b7, plays queen a6 check. This still should be good enough, but actually there was a very cute sequence that would end the game quicker, just to move bishop a6 check, king a7 and bishop b5, with the idea of swinging this rook. Even if black gives a check, doesn't matter because you come across, and there's just no way you can stop this rook swing, and once the rook joins the party, it's going to be checkmate. Queen a6 check was okay though. King b8, of course white can repeat now, but he went queen b5 and king b1, so he saw it this way, slightly inaccurate by Fiat. But after rook b8, queen a5 check, rook b6 check, there was another very beautiful finish here. He played the move bishop a6 check. He saw that this was winning. The point is that after rook takes a6, rook c7 check, king b8, queen takes a6, king takes c7. White is currently a bishop and knight down, but with the exposed king and the rook on h1 joining the action with rook c1 check, actually it's winning. And after knight c5, well, king d8 didn't help matters, because here check and check was good enough. King f6, takes, and now the key move, queen to d6. Even e4 straight away, but queen d6, followed by the idea of e4 and d5. White has got a queen for 3 pieces, but he's winning one of those pieces back. So that was no good, which is why Feller played knight c5. But after takes, and now queen d6 check, and rook b5 check, king c1, that was the end of that. Rook b8 check is coming, and it's forced mate. So Fear also had a decent time in France. Another success story, and perhaps one that is sometimes overshadowed, was the performance of a French international master, Paul Veltin. He had a great story because not only did he make a Grand Master norm, congratulations to him, but he also played all 11 games with black, which is quite astonishing. Not many players would ask that, but I believe he drew 7 and won 4. And that was good enough for the GM norm. Congratulations to him. And I thought I would go over one of his games, which was really an excellent game. Here he is black against the Grandmaster Maxime Lagarde, rated about 100 points higher than him. This is the position out of the opening. Maxime had been a bit careless, allowing this, where black had developed his pieces very normally, and also white is very underdeveloped on the king side and can't get his king safe easily. And in this position, Paul Veltin plays a very classical move, very thematic move. When your opponent's king is in the center, it's not developed, try and get to it as much as possible. How can you do that? Open as many lines as possible. So he plays the move d5. Doesn't matter if you give up a pawn here, because if you end up opening the e-file and also the diagonal for this bishop to come out, you're going to be in very good stead. So d5 was played. Maxime played e5, quite logically wants to keep things closed. Knight d7, f4, pawn takes pawn, and now another excellent move by Veltin, the move b5. Which once again, when you have such a lead in development, it doesn't matter if you sacrifice more pawns to open up more lines. Now, Maxime played queen e4. It's understandable. Well, if he takes with the knight here, just to move bishop b7, and how do you ever get your pieces out? The rook is coming to c8, the queen is coming to b6. There's all kinds of ideas, lots of activity, and you don't even feel the pawn deficit here. And if queen takes b5 perhaps was the best try, but even here, after a move like bishop b6, just keeping some pressure, the bishop now has got this diagonal to think about in the future. The knight's coming to c5. Black's got more than enough compensation. So queen e4 was played, rook b8, and now he took the pawn like this. But after check, it's possible that bishop b7 first, followed by check, and after g3, queen h3. This looked also very, very good, where white's king would be stranded, rook f1, knight b6. and you would take black every day here. But queen h4 check is also interesting straight away. Now he gives this check because after g3, queen back to e7, he's deliberately provoked the weakening of this long diagonal. So now bishop b7 is a real nasty threat in a lot of lines. Hence why bishop c6 was played, but now another very good move by Veltan, the move f5. Trying to open up more lines. Again, white doesn't want to open the position up too much because after takes, let's say queen to g2, you have to deal with moves like bishop d4, rook d8, and this king is going to be stuck in the center for eternity. So he played queen f3, but after now rook d8, b4, bishop d4, rook a2, knight c5 was a really nice shot. Bishop a6 was also good enough for an advantage, keeping the king in the center, but knight c5 is a pretty decent move here. Highlighting again the problems with white's camp. You can't take on c5 because after queen takes c5, pieces are dropping. Rook c2, just here the move bishop a6 would be the end of the game. Actually, there's no way to deal with all of the threats, all of black's pieces working, and it's completely over here despite being a piece down. So knight d1 was played instead. But now after bishop a6, with the idea of coming into d3, rook d2, and now knight e4, queen c7 was also extremely strong here. But knight e4 was good enough. And bishop e3, white is trying to hold on the best he can, but now another very thematic move. Beautiful game actually by Veltan. Rook takes c6, getting rid of the light squared bishop to now put this bishop on an absolutely devastating diagonal. Look at all that meat that's lined up on that skewer. It's very beautiful. He played b5 to try and hold things, but queen takes a3 again highlighted just how badly coordinated the white pieces were. And after some simplifications, knight d2 as well was a good shot. Black won an exchange, and duly defended to end the game. So great performance by Veltan. And one more game that caught my eye, at least to finish, was, well, a couple more games, sorry. The game between Chaussy, not sure how to pronounce Matilda's name. Anyway, this was a crucial game in that aforementioned match between Bismillah and Clichy, who met, and actually Bismillah were leading by 1 point, and white here was Clichy against Nino Masuradze, the lovely other half of Alexander Fear. And actually white had missed a whole host of different chances in this game, but reached this position where on move 102 Masuradze played the move a2. It's a very understandable move because what else do? You got to do something. But actually, that was a fatal mistake. And white, who could have drawn the match, and who knows what would have happened after this, played the move bishop takes a2. But unfortunately, as soon as queen takes a2 comes on the board, this is just a draw. Knight f3 is an absolute fortress, and no progress can be made. But what Matilda missed was that the move knight e6 check actually is forced mate. Because after king g6, bishop d3 check, king h5, rook h4 is mate. And after king g8, rook f8 check, king h7, bishop d3 check. Nice how the configuration works here. King h6, rook h8 as well as mate. Well, queen h7 followed by rook takes h7. So a massive missed opportunity there that could have changed the outcome of this entire competition. One more game that happened, I believe, in the last round was between So and Fedorchuk, where Wesley suffered a difficult loss with white. We don't often see Wesley lose with white. But here, after the move d7, Fedorchuk found a beautiful little combination. These rooks are doing a great job, but also this bishop is doing a great job of just keeping the king hemmed in. Not to mention the fact that there are lots of discovery attack possibilities, and in fact, Fedorchuk found a very strong line here. He played the move knight f3 check, which is devastating. The point is that if you take with the bishop, bishop e4 check is all but over. King f1, well, bishop takes f3 is just hopeless. There's rook h1 mate coming next. So king f1 was played by Wesley, but now after bishop d3 check and now rook e2, he's banking on being able to do something with this pawn. Actually, the pretty finish rook h1 check ended matters immediately. Bishop takes h1 and rook g1 is mate. Beautiful little mating combination. Remember that one. That pattern happens quite a lot. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed that little summary. Congratulations to the winning team, and congratulations to all of those who had such a great tournament. And remember to read the news articles on Chess24 for more detailed information about the precise rounds. But from me, for now, it's goodbye. Hope you enjoyed this little clip. Let's go for Schellingford. Now, Schellingford, I've had a few battles with over these Blitz sessions, and I'm determined to at least win one. This is Lucas Winterberg, and he is a FIDE master from Germany. And I'm going to play a Benko again, because it's Benko Day, ladies and gentlemen. It is Benko Day. Day of the Benko. And he's played b6 as well. We'll go a5. We'll do the same line. This time he'll probably go e4, though. He might go g3, I don't know. He might go d6. Well, he's gone g3. This is interesting. So I've got the same game as I did before. And notice how my previous opponent, made a real hash of things. I quite like this when they play with the fianchetto against my 8. And he's doing the same thing. This is unbelievable, Jeff. This is unbelievable. Do they not learn? Do they not learn? Schelling, I'm telling you, son, I've got your number this game. I've got your number. I feel it. I feel it in the bones. You know, sometimes you just feel it in your blood, in your bones. No chat. What's going on? Write to me in the chat. Write to me on Twitter.